My mum made me stay in the kitchen. My brother, not so much. There were tasks that he had to do, but not usually in the kitchen.
Feminism is not something that is in the Bible.
The Bible doesn't mention a lot of things.
But
this trust and believe, I'm fighting for the men as well. I don't believe patriarchy helps anyone, both the men and the women. I feel like it puts unnecessary pressure on the men.
Two terms are there, and God sees us as equal. He doesn't differentiate whether a man is the head and a woman is a less person.
And I think as a woman as well, you have to demand better, because some of these guys, they've been raised that way.
Yep. You really get to know this Jesus that you profess. He's all about sacrificial love.
Her eyes are
Hi guys, welcome to mochunkstv and welcome to another installment of Chit Chat with Mo, where we get real about life experiences. I give you some advice and put my own spin on it. So today we've got group chats. We've got my friends here with me. I've got Oyin. Hello. And I've got Hannah. Hi. So recently we were having a very interesting debate on Instagram about feminism and Christianity, and whether as a Christian woman you can label yourself as a feminist. So different opinions kind of popped up and stuff, and it was actually quite enlightening, I think. So I thought, you know what, I spoke to Hannah and I spoke to Oyin about it. I thought, you know what, why don't we do a video together and kind of share those views as well. But before we go into it, everyone kind of has different definitions of feminism. What would you say feminism is for you guys?
Well, and this isn't Bible, this isn't the specific definition. I think I'd have to go and Google for that. But thank you. That's a good thing. Yeah, this is what happens when you can't see anything. So yeah, feminism, it's not Bible, but feminism is essentially the fight for equality, like socio-economic, I think it was. Political, and another thing. I feel like I need to actually get my phone out and Google this.
I don't know if you really need the specifics, but what is it to you?
For me, anyway, feminism is fighting for equal rights for women. So in the workplace, politically, for example, women being able to vote, women earning the same amount as men in the workplace when they're doing the same job. I don't think feminism is supposed to be there to bash men, or feminism is there to be we're
gonna get into it.
I'm kind of passionate already.
What about you? What is feminism to you?
Definitely similar to what Oyin has said. It's definitely for me about equality. The equal rights, as she said as well, for men and women. Majorly, for me, I would say in the workplace as well. So you hear about things like the gender pay gap and things like that. Just eliminating all of that kind of stuff, and especially in Christianity terms as well. The fact that men are not higher than women, women are not less than men, but just equal rights. As God sees us as.
I would definitely agree with both of you in the sense of I believe feminism is all about equality, and I'm very passionate about it because I'm very passionate about the equality of the sexes as a result of some of the things that I've seen in life. And you know, obviously you guys know that I'm Nigerian. If you're joining us for the first, where are you guys from?
I'm full on Nigerian.
Nigeria. So we've seen some things in our cultures, in the sense of it can be very patriarchal and very misogynistic, and you know, seeing our aunties and our mothers go through certain things, I think it's riled up a lot of passion within a lot of us in terms of, we don't want this, we want our world to be better in terms of our relationships, our marriages. We just want to be treated right and equal, if that makes sense. So why you both identify as Christians, right? Why do we feel like there is that kind of resistance from the church sometimes with regards to feminism? And we're just trying to be very super objective, because a lot of people said raised some very interesting points that made me think, okay, I see where you're coming from. But what do you think? I mean,
I would say it depends on the church and who's leading the church, because different churches have different sort of they preach different ideologies, so to speak, or they believe different things. So it depends on the church that you go to. I don't think there should be pushback, because like I said, Christianity and feminism, they're not there to counter each other. If anything, they're there to support each other, to uplift each other.
Yeah.
So I don't see why there's a pushback from church. I think it's this idea, there's a pandering of women being like men hating, and the fact that like, or the women want to be boss over the men, or the women want to be in control, and the woman wants to be, you know, more than a man. Like, I don't think men and women are equal, because we're not the same.
Yeah.
So it's not like women are pushing to be like the same as a man. I don't want to be a man. We have different roles and we have different uses.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is that we can come together and complement one another. So I think feminism, essentially, we're trying to say, in certain areas of our lives, just like treat a woman better. It's not right that a woman and a man who have the ability to do the same thing are being treated separately. Where do they do that? Like, it makes no sense. I personally don't understand the pushback. And I think unless we keep talking about it and questioning people's point of view and what's brought that on, I think we probably will still be at the same place.
Yeah. Well, why do you think there's pushback?
As she said as well, it's really similar in the sense of the churches. I feel like, because from my knowledge anyway, feminism is not something that is in the Bible. So that term of probably not wanting to accept things of the world and not wanting to be too much of the world could probably push churches back from preaching it and claiming it. So as Oyin has said, it's not a thing of churches are saying that men are higher than women or women are lesser than men. It's just that understanding that, some churches do believe that only men can go into the altar, only men can head the church, only men can preach. I myself, I'm a Celestian, and that is what is believed in Celestial Church. Yeah, my dad's a shepherd as well. So that is what is believed, but it doesn't scratch out completely that women cannot preach or women cannot maybe minister. It's just that doctrine. So it doesn't actually say that women are lesser and men are higher and men have more knowledge or whatever, but it's just that belief and it's just that doctrine, which is fair enough. But there should also be that opportunity to allow women to show their skills,
because it implies it, even though it doesn't say.
Because people that don't have knowledge of it, for example, if a newcomer comes to a church and sees that, so where's the women, they will kind of feel set back. They will kind of feel like, so am I not allowed to speak? Am I not allowed to say what I know about God and Christianity, things like that? So I feel like they should adopt that ability to have that equality and that diversity as well, because it opens the floor and gives everybody an opportunity. But just not saying that men are the head and women are less. Because the Bible says husbands wives submit to your husbands, but it also does say husbands love your wives.
People like to cut that out.
So we need to understand that the two terms are there, and God sees us as equal. He doesn't differentiate whether a man is the head and a woman is a less person. So
I think that go on.
I mean, I was going to say, just to touch on that, the Bible does say that the man is the head of the home,
exactly.
in the sense that he's leading. So like if you submit to your wife, naturally you make decisions together. So he's not saying you just make the decisions and let's go. It's saying it's the head, as in someone has to be a leader. If you go to a company and organization,
of course,
someone is in charge. It doesn't mean he does everything. It doesn't mean he's less, or the employees are less important. It just means you have someone who's the figurehead.
And it will crumble without
exactly. You have it's like you need different branches. You have the head, and you need the arms, and you need the legs. The body isn't whole without every single part working together, you know. So
and on that point as well, why do we think that God has made man and woman? He's made two to become one. So that shows that a woman is the helper of a man, and a man also is a helper of a woman. So both of us as two become one. It's not that a man is the one that's assisting the woman only, or the woman is the one that's just doing all the catering. Both of you come together and share your ideologies, share your skills together, and make it to become one.
You guys are really preaching. But I just wanted to go off one point that you said about how so in the Bible it says that a woman should submit. Have we found out what that word means?
I feel like it's one of those words where it means different things for different people. But to me, submit just means I am not a single entity. When I am married, we become one. So therefore, I can't just up and decide I'm going to China for a year by myself. It means I have to make that decision with somebody else. So I have to be mindful that there's someone else. And so if he tells me, as my husband, as the head of my home, I think we should discuss this. You can't just up and go. Me submitting will be like, okay, let me listen to what you have to say. Let's discuss this. Me not submitting will be like, bun what you have to say.
Do you feel like there's mutual submission in marriage, or is it?
There should be. The Bible, the Bible
if you
does clearly say,
submit onto one another.
People like to skip the beginning and go to that woman submit to your husband. And I think that's why so many women struggle with submission, because you're thinking, why should I always be submitting and submitting?
Why?
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that I question everything. So if you tell me not to do something, automatically I want to do exactly what you've told me not to do. So you have to come at a different angle, and I think it's important that couples discuss submission before they get married, because I speak to married couples and they're like, oh yeah, I didn't know how hard that would be. I'm like, do people not have these conversations?
You don't know what kind of mindset.
For me it's not sit down there, don't move. That's
sit down there.
I feel like that should
for a lot of
some
couples
people,
back in the day.
Some Nigerian couples, that's what submission meant. That's everything my husband tells me to do.
Honestly, I feel like that should be spoken about from courting stage anyway, because it's about respect. And if we're talking about equality, then that should also come with respect as well. So if a woman is saying, okay babe, I'm going to China this week, or I'm traveling with my girls, or blah blah blah, the man should also feel, out of respect and genuine effort, but equality between the two, that he should also do the same. You can't expect to be searching and watching what your wife is doing or what your girlfriend is doing every minute, but just be laid back and think, okay, if I want to go at 12 o'clock in the night, I'm going to go at 12 o'clock in the night. Like, it's just not fair. That doesn't really preach equality in that way. And I feel like some people are picky when it comes to equality. They want to do equality for certain things, but then they don't want to do it for others.
The bills.
Exactly. And that doesn't work. Like, if you're going to preach that's what we came back to my mind, and I was just like, wow. Anyway, if we're going to talk about equality, then you need to preach it throughout the whole thing. You can't be picky. Like, it just doesn't.
And me, I'm very like, this is the thing. When I fight for women, trust me, when I trust and believe, I'm fighting for the men as well. I don't believe patriarchy helps anyone, both the men and the women. I feel like it puts unnecessary pressure on the men to be the sole provider, to be the sole protector, to be the sole everything. Meanwhile, if you share those burdens with somebody, your life would actually be a lot. Do you know how many men feel like failures because they don't got it like that, financially,
It's a lot.
And I believe a lot of like women that enable misogyny and patriarchy, I feel like they're actually just lazy. They would rather put all their burden on a man. And like, what are you doing with your money?
No, but that's exactly
what are you doing with your money?
But that's the thing, it can also come down to fear. You know, like, we talk about African women, and it's literally what you've learned from past. When they haven't learnt the idea of, okay, I'm a woman, I can stand on my own 2 feet, I can be the head, I can earn more than my husband, it comes down to fear. They feel like, okay, if I'm going to be earning more than my husband, then he's probably going to question me.
Do you feel like men's egos can handle it?
I kind of feel like, do you know what, I feel like, I don't want to be the one to say this, but I have to. I feel like it's a sort of traditional thing. I see it a lot amongst Africans. Not so much amongst other people. Like, so it's like you've said, it's part of what they've grown up with, but also they're not willing to break out of that. They're okay.
They've internalized that.
They're okay with letting a man do everything and pay for everything. And so therefore, they have no power to fight back when a man then comes and says, I'm not doing that.
Because he literally owns you.
Exactly.
So that's what I was saying about
have to take the power.
Because sometimes they might not actually be okay with it. They just think that that's how they have to accept it. Exactly. They just think they have to accept it like that.
Now, there was something actually quite interesting. I think it was Lolo. She's an amazing. She lives in South Africa, I think, and she does a lot of like blogs about a lot of social norms and stuff. And she was speaking about how we are now running the same race as men, but still expected to keep up with like the
traditional
like looking after the house, looking after the babies, but we're still working as well, and like men have been enabled to still remain lazy for the most part.
Have you seen the new, I think it's a laundry ad by
I know the one you're talking about.
So it was like a dad, and he was talking to his daughter. Like, he watched her, was staying at home. He watched her come in, and as soon as she got in, she was picking up stuff off the floor. She made tea for her husband, who was sitting there watching TV, looking after the kids, doing this. And he wanted to say something, but he couldn't, because he was exactly the same way. And that's what she saw growing up. So I feel like some of these things you have to sort of like stop them when you're young. And I think as a woman as well, you have to demand better, because some of these guys, they've been raised that way, and they are used to that. So you have to demand better. If this is what you want, if you want something different for your family and for your children, you have to be the change right now. You don't wait till you get married. You start doing it now. You don't go to your partner's house or whatever, and he sits down doing nothing, or you're cooking, if that's what we do, and he's just sitting down in the living room. If I'm cooking, you're staying with me. 100%. And I like to cook but that's a personal thing for me, so I have no problem. But if I'm cooking, best believe you're hoovering, you're washing, you're doing laundry, you're washing dishes.
Exactly. I think it's the pressures of life are too much right now for both the male and the female, and it's kind of moved on from, you know, when it was all about the men going out to be hunters and gatherers, and the women stayed at home and looked after the babies. And that no, we're both now fending for the family, so we should both now share the domestic burden of the house as well.
I was gonna say this, but you know how some families I still see families today who don't share the burden, so the man pays for everything. The woman earns as well, and so she takes care of the home. But well, not to argue if it's right or wrong, but that's their dynamic, and it seems to work for them.
I think it's what works for you. It's what works for you.
It definitely does come down to what works for you. And that's why I say, like, it needs to be discussed before the marriage stage. You cannot leave it to marriage, because that's what crushes marriages. If you're not saying it from the dating stage, from the courting stage, then how would you know what the person is like? How would you know what they accept and what they don't accept? So it definitely does need to come, like, even little things like, okay, you're on the phone to your boyfriend or something, and he's like saying, okay, his mum's in the kitchen cooking and he's just sitting down watching Netflix. I would question, like, you're sorry, your mum is cooking in the kitchen. That's a bit weird, isn't it? But obviously, and that's what I'm saying, like, it comes down to maybe how the mum has brought him up. But for me, that's just weird. Like, because obviously, female or not, my mum would not accept me, even if I was a guy, she would not accept me sitting down while she's in the kitchen cooking. Like, just offer a helping hand.
And there are some mums like that. Some guys have been raised to be quite
so even things like that.
I feel sorry for my sons. I genuinely feel sorry for them. They have no idea what's going to hit them.
You have no idea.
They're going to be doing all the work. And this is not to say the girls won't be doing it, but I intend to flip it on its head completely. And my girls are going to do the same, but I don't want traditional roles. I don't want them to be fixed in the idea that girls do this and boys do that. Even when it comes down to toys, like, I want them to do what they naturally want to do, but not because you're a boy, so you're gonna wear blue, and you're a girl, you're gonna do pink, and you're gonna stay in the kitchen. In my house, we always stayed in the kitchen. My mum made me stay in the kitchen. My brother, not so much. My brother had a lot of leeway, so there were tasks that he had to do, but not usually in the kitchen.
And those little comments like, what do you do when you go to your husband's house?
For me, like, things, hear it. Or one of my pet peeves is when someone says, because you're a woman, in response to anything, I automatically shut down. I don't believe that because apart from birthing a child, I don't believe because you're a woman should be the response to anything. It should be because you're an able-bodied human being who should be able to do this by herself. When I get married, is my husband not going to have the same abilities as I do? You know, bringing it back to the topic we're talking about, when it comes down to Christianity, from the beginning till the end, the entirety of the Bible preaches that you should love one another. And so if you love your partner and you just love people, you want the best.
Want to help.
For them. You want to help them out.
Laziness would not even be there, because you would want to help them. You can't see your partner
want to serve each other,
cleaning and struggling to help handle something, and you're just sitting chilling.
And I think it all comes down to your interpretation of love as well, because I think a lot of people don't understand that service part of love and the sacrifice part of love. And if you really get to, you know, go know this Jesus that you profess, you know, he's all about sacrificial love. You know, he died for us. So like when you have that kind of mindset as a man and a woman, you tend to do more for your partner. But so something quite controversial that came out of that conversation was somebody said that Jesus was a feminist. So
okay, no, but talk me through it, because
there's no talking. that was the phrase.
See, the thing is, though, the Bible doesn't mention feminism, so I'm hard pressed to agree with that.
The Bible doesn't mention a lot of things.
But let me finish. The Bible doesn't mention feminism, so I'm hard pressed to see where she's coming with that. However, I do pick on a few examples, or they pop in my head, like Jesus being around the women, and, you know, speaking for them in that
the
regard.
woman that was caught in adultery,
and even like always been like Mary and Martha, them washing Jesus' feet, looking after Jesus, him being around them, you know. So I'm like, I get where she's coming from. I don't know if I agree. I think I have to plead ignorance. I have to go and do a bit of research.
I think Jesus Jesus came to take away or eradicate a lot of the things that, you know, liberate the captive, eradicate a lot of the things that were quite wrong within the church and our ideologies about, because it was very patriarchal society. Let's not forget that. But Jesus came to right a lot of those wrongs. So initially I was like, you know what? I feel like Jesus is a feminist. But then somebody else raised the point and said, okay, cool, that Christianity has kind of been twisted over the years, and that the Bible itself is love in its truest and purest form, but then our interpretations of it, just like the Pharisees, is what's making it look bad. So when we see the word submit and we think less than, that's an ideology from us, not from the Bible. So what they were saying is that it was already perfect, so it doesn't need an ism. Jesus doesn't need an ism attached to it. So from that, my question was, if it's not the concept of equality that we're battling against, if it's actually the fact that we don't need to attach something of the world into what's already true and so perfect, why do we not have a movement within the church that is pushing for equality? Because it's clearly a problem. I know we said that it depends on the type of church, but if we really know this God, why has there not been any conviction? Because what we see with like things like sex, for example, we are now seeing pastors like Michael Todd doing whole series on sex and relationships, things that the church never used to speak on because it was supposedly worldly. As a result of people learning from friends, from the outside, from porn, from all sorts of different things, and now we're reclaiming that. So I guess my challenge, or what I'm putting out, is why don't we have something from within? Why don't we have these conversations using the word of God to preach about equality?
It's the traditional mindset. I feel like, because as you mentioned, you gave an example of Pastor Michael Todd. He's a more modern day pastor, so he's actually seeing what's going on in the modern day times. So, and it's also a sense of being able to bring in what people are actually going through as Christians into the church. It's not saying that you're bringing in things of the world, but you're like, we're in the world, we live in the world. In reality, we are going to go through day-to-day worldly things. So it just makes sense to discuss them, but having a way to discuss it and always relating it back to the Bible and always relating it back to Christianity. So things like what you mentioned about the fact that it's not discussed because feminism, because I feel like maybe because feminism has been made such a worldly topic, and even the term Christian, and some of
the precepts as well. So I think we're good to go with things like equality, but then it also preaches about sexual liberation. Meanwhile,
I was going to touch on that.
So with Christianity, we know that, you know, although Christianity is it's still your choice, because when Paul says you can do everything, but not everything is beneficial. So you can go out there and wild out, but really and truly, if you're convicted by the Holy Spirit, you know that sexual liberation is not something that you as a child of God should be into or advocating for. So I guess there is that.
But it just, I feel like it makes sense.
Just to touch on what you were saying. So I remember there was this argument on, Amina did an interview or something. And there was a conversation that came off on the back of that. And I was like, people are so excited when it comes to feminism to talk about sexual liberation and you should be able to sleep with this man or this woman or whoever you want. But then on the flip side, celibacy is such a taboo. So I'm like, so the whole idea of feminism is that you're able to make the choice that's right for you.
But then
so if you as a woman can make a decision to have sex with 20 million men as you want, and I can decide that I don't want to sleep with anyone until I'm married, why do you have an issue with my decision? Surely the whole idea of feminism is that I should be able to make my choice and that's pleasing to me. And so I find that even within feminism, because we're not united in what the idea means and what we're fighting for.
Even there's an issue of race.
There's so many factions within feminism, and so even feminists can't agree because you're like, oh, I don't agree with that, or I don't agree with that. And I think that's why it's very important, the way that Chimamanda defined feminism. If we focus on that and what it means, and it doesn't mean you should bash other people, you should let people make their choices, but we're fighting for a woman to be the best that she can be, and for patriarchy and for the society and for men and even other women not to put her down and help raise this woman up. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
That's
wrong
what I was
that.
saying about the essence of people picking and choosing what they want to believe in, what they want to vouch for. I wouldn't class myself as a feminism simply because I don't really know much 100% about it, and the little bits that I do know, I do support some certain things, but there's also things that I'm still questioning about. So I wouldn't proclaim that I'm a feminism. I'm a feminist, but I would say that I 100% support equality, and it should be preached in the church simply because, as I was mentioning before, we are of the world.
Sorry, we're in the world, not of the world.
In the world. So it does make sense to just speak about these kind of things, and just so that we can have knowledge and understanding. Okay, this is what is happening, but so that you can avoid from going across it, or like you're talking about sexual liberation, we need to understand that it's not actually something that we're supposed to partake in. But why? You need to understand the why. Everything everything, every concept, every question always includes a why. So if they're not able to educate people on that why, then how are you?
Sexual liberation is allowed, but within the context of marriage.
Exactly. So there's always whys. I even
liberation.
You search on social media and you hear things about people ask questions. Oh, but why does the Bible say no sex before marriage? What is the reason? What if you've met the right person? Or, honestly, like there's so many.
This guy about to take her to church. She's about to take us to church. Separate.
Yeah, like people always have these questions, and it's literally like just literally making people understand that this is the reason behind it, and it just makes the world so much easier.
I think we need to start having these conversations, no matter how uncomfortable they might be. I think family is everything. Relationships are literally like the centerfold of the world and how we function. We need to relate with one another. So even if you're not necessarily romantic relationships, but just how you see women as a man, or how you see men. Because I think there's also that thing that we put on men in the sense of we put too much on. They need to be too
masculine.
Like,
you have to be alpha, and you have to be this.
Working hard. And
so from both sides, it's very problematic, and I think we do need to rectify these issues.
It means different things for different people. And say for a boy, for example, who grew up in a home where it was only mum, his idea of masculinity would be different from a man who grew up in a house from where his dad abused his mum. And so you see what I'm saying? There's going to be different things, which is why I love conversations like this, because even though it's limited and we're not able to have the whole world sitting right here talking to us, it provokes conversation. So people can actually think about what they think. Exactly. Why do you think what you think? Where was that idea stemmed from? What's informing your idea? Where did you get that information from? Because you've been raised with something doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. And so we need to check that. And I think even with other things as well, we need to check ourselves and be like, okay, why do I think what I think? Where has it come from? And have conversations with other people who don't believe what you believe at all, who believes the complete opposite, because then it challenges your idea and it either reaffirms what you believe, or you're like, oh, maybe I need to go and educate myself a little 100%. Bit on what this means.
And on that point of what you said about the way you're educated as well, like it's until you go out into the world that you now begin to become enlightened.
You see a lot of women, we're going off, but like a lot of women that kind of migrated from like Nigeria and places like that, they come to this country and a lot of their men will say things like, oh, she's changed, or she's her eyes are but it's not that I'm saying, because I've heard people close to me say it.
So true.
It's not
that
you
all the time.
She's it's not that she's disrespectful or anything. She just exposed.
It's
she's like exposed to a different way of living.
Exactly. Anyone that goes amongst a different kind of living are going to adapt to that. As the saying says, when you're in Rome, you behave like a Roman. So it's literally similar to that. It's not like she's now become an Ashewo, she's now doing bad things.
Just because she didn't make you pound the yam 7 days in a row.
It doesn't mean, but she's now gained more wisdom. She's now seen new things. Open doors are happening. So she's seen new opportunities. So she's going to take
and the family dynamic in Nigeria is completely different. You build your own house most of the time, so you don't have to worry about rent.
Exactly.
Like electricity, Nepal, it's
not a lot.
It's not like that. And we have wells as well, so there's water. But in this country, it's completely different. You're paying.
You have to work.
So my granddad always said that London or the UK is a leveler, and I never understood what it meant. In comparison to Nigeria, this UK will humble you real good. And if you lived in a space if you live in a space where I don't know, like you're relatively well off, you have your own house, as we mentioned, you probably have a maid.
They have house help.
You have a maid, someone to look after you.
You become the maids.
You don't even have to worry about electricity. Even the NEPA doesn't even bring that. You have your own generator.
Even for people that are not well off, even for people that are struggling in Nigeria and are asking for people from London to be sending them money, when they come here, they see that
they realize,
it's
this
different.
One is serious.
Just the dynamics and the way the system works, the fact that you pay and your taxes come out before it's even hit your account, and you have to pay this bill, you have to pay that bill. The way things just move is different. Whereas in Nigeria, there are several people who don't even pay tax. Like they just make their money and their money.
To pay tax?
You know?
I didn't even know.
They're supposed to.
But some people just don't.
No wonder.
Nigerians like to bend rules.
So the dynamic is completely different, and so I feel like, especially for, I don't know about you guys, but from where my grandparents have moved and things have completely, like, they're changing over time. I don't expect that if I decide to go and date a man who's just come from Nigeria, that things would be the same.
My dad said I should come and do NYC Nigeria swag. So when they work and find a husband, I said no, we are still defeating the misogynists in the UK. You know, we must go from Nigeria.
That's a whole new level.
It can't work. It cannot work.
With me and my argumentative spirit, nah.
And do you know what I do?
Depends on the person, though.
What I find
so there are some that let's not bash our country.
It definitely
there are some Bible believing, like my pastor, he grew up in Nigeria. He's an amazing man. It's because of the love of God within him. So again, it boils down to having the fear of God and, you know, understanding.
Because people have different views, and it's literally being able.
There are some really lovely.
100%.
And I was gonna say before you said that, I was gonna say it depends on the man as well, because I've seen some men on the outside, you have this idea of what they look like, but in a relationship, when you see some men with their women, with their wives, you're kind of like,
and also a lot of them become very teachable when they are genuinely in love.
That is so true.
I did see a thread on Twitter where a guy was saying the first time that his wife asked him to, like, look after the kids, he thought like he was suffering, like he was really sad because of his idea of, this is what I've been brought up with, but then because of his love for her, he grew to learn that, okay, I can't just be giving her everything to do. So that's another thing to note. I think when they really do genuinely love you,
it's the experiences that now make that better you, to be honest. It's the experiences. Everything comes down to experience. Unless you've actually witnessed things and seen things, you wouldn't really have 100% knowledge of it.
That was a great conversation, guys. I hope you guys...
Has that been...
I'm even enlightened myself, to be honest.
I really hope you guys at home have been enlightened, and, you know, drop your comments down below on the things that we spoke about. Make sure you if you liked it. Do follow the girls on socials. Check out their work. You're a presenter, you're a journalist, so they're both in, like, the media industry, doing really amazing things. Why did I say media? They're both in the media industry. Thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so make sure you like it if you liked it, guys. Share with your friends and subscribe to this channel for more. Until next time, guys, peace and love, peace and chunks. Bye.